don't know how.
Alright, let me ask you something. What's the scariest movie you've ever seen? Now, imagine a movie so terrifying it made my wife, someone who laughs at jump scares, stay awake for 3 nights straight. Intrigued? Good, because in this video, I'm counting down a list of horror films so spine-chilling they'll haunt your thoughts long after the credits roll. But here's the twist. It's not just about ranking scary movies. You'll hear about hidden gems, shocking twists, and one film so terrifying it had me questioning my life choices. If you stick around, I promise by the end, you'll have a list of must-watch movies guaranteed to keep you up at night. Oh, and hey, before we dive in, let me ask you something. I'm just a guy trying to turn my obsession with movies into something bigger. If you enjoy what I do here, hit that like button, maybe even subscribe. I promise I won't hunt you for it. Okay, maybe just a little. Alright, let's roll. Alright, let's kick this off with Terrifier 3. This one, oh boy, Art the Clown is back and even more twisted than ever. Picking up after the bloody chaos of Terrifier 2, this movie takes us to a small town that becomes Art's personal playground of terror. But here's where it gets interesting. There's a survivor this time, someone who's been through Art's madness before and is out for revenge. It's like a deadly game of cat and mouse, and spoiler alert, Art doesn't play fair. In terms of people's opinion, I think this movie's brutal, it's graphic, it's relentless, and it does not hold back. But honestly, I think it crossed a line that it didn't need to, especially scenes involving killing kids. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt like that was just too much. Horror's supposed to scare us, not make us feel sick to our stomachs. You know, it was already horrifying without it. Also, about the IMDb score and people's opinion there, I mean, people seem to be split on this one. IMDb has it sitting at 7.8 out of 10. I think it's too much for that. I didn't really like it. However, I hate slashes in general. And you know, Rotten Tomatoes audience score is 82%. Fans love how intense and creative it gets. But critics are like, okay, maybe dial it down a notch, Art. So yeah, it's a bit divisive. Breathe for just a second, please. If you like Terrifier 2 or classic gore fests like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this will be your jam. It's basically those movies stand up to something like 11 watching. So, is it worth watching? Here's the thing, not for me myself. If you're a die-hard slasher fan, you'll love it, I think. But if you're more of a casual horror watcher, you might want to skip this one. In terms of a scare factor, I would give it a 4 out of 10, but lots of people give it a 9 out of 10 even. I mean, like, it's personal, choices. Terrifier 3 doesn't really scare you in the traditional kind of sense. It's not about suspense or creepy atmosphere, it's all about the gore. Sure, the blood and brutality will make you cringe, but actual fear, not so much. It's more shocking than scary.
Are you listening to me?
Okay, here's a classic for you, The Others. Set in a creepy old mansion right after World War II, the story follows Grace, played by Nicole Kidman, as she raises her 2 photosensitive children. That means no sunlight, so the house is always dark. Add in some spooky sounds and weird noises, and things quickly get unsettling. But here's the kicker. Grace starts to believe they might not be alone in the house. It's one of those slow burn mysteries that will have you questioning everything by the end. This movie is the definition of less is more, in my opinion. It's not about jump scares or gore. It's all about atmosphere, and let me tell you, the twist at the end chef's kiss. This kind of reveal that makes you want to rewatch the whole movie immediately. Seriously, if you haven't seen it yet, you're in for a treat. In terms of IMDb score and what people think, with an IMDb score of 7.6 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes critics score of 84%, this one's a fan favorite and a critical darling. People love its smart storytelling and the chilling performances. Also, what makes this movie stand out is that the atmosphere is everything. If you like The Sixth Sense or The Innocents, this is right up your alley. It's more about the psychological side of horror than cheap scares. So, is it worth watching? I would say absolutely. This is a must-watch for anyone who loves atmospheric horror with a strong emotional core. It's not the kind of movie that will make you scream, but it will definitely haunt you in the best way. And about the scare factor, I would give it a 6 out of 10. This isn't about jumps or gore, it's about a creeping sense of dread. It's a spooky and unsettling, but not the kind of horror that will keep you up all night, unless you can't stop thinking about that twist.
Can't you hear it? There's someone there.
Brahms, can you hear me? Brahms?
Alright, here's a weird one for you. The Boy. So this American nanny, Greta, takes a job in a creepy English mansion to care for, wait for it, a porcelain doll named Brahms.
Allow me to introduce Mr. Hilscher. And this is our son, Brahms.
Yeah, the doll. Turns out the parents treat Brahms like he's their actual son, complete with rules she has to follow. At first, Greta's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But then strange stuff starts happening. Things moving on their own, eerie noises. Is it a haunted doll, or is there something else going on here? Trust me, this one keeps you guessing. The Boy is a mixed bag for me. The setup is super creepy. Like, who isn't freaked out by dolls, right? It takes its time building up, and when the twist finally hits, it's a love it or hate it moment. Personally, I kinda dug it. It's unexpected and gives the movie a whole new vibe. So, IMDb gives it a 6 out of 10, which feels about right. Critics were pretty meh on it, but audiences had fun with it. If you're into creepy doll movies, you'll probably enjoy it. So, if you like movies like Annabelle or Dead Silence, this is kinda in the same vein, creepy dolls, weird vibes, and a big twist in the end. Is it worth a watch? If you're into creepy doll movies or just want something with a good twist, give it a shot. It's not groundbreaking, but it's a fun, spooky watch. And about the scare factor, I think it would go a 5 out of 10. It's creepy, for sure, but it's more about the mystery than outright scares. You won't be jumping out of your seat, but you might think twice about babysitting, especially if there's a doll involved.
Hi.
The Devil's Candy 2015. Alright, here's one that's dark in every sense of the word. The story follows a family that moves into a new home. And surprise, it's haunted by something evil. The dad, Jesse, is an artist who starts painting these super disturbing things he can't explain, while his daughter Zoe becomes the target of a creepy, unhinged guy with a sinister connection to the house. It's got heavy metal, creepy vibes, and some seriously intense moments. I really liked this one. It's not your typical haunted house flick. It's got a unique vibe with a whole heavy metal meets evil theme. Plus, it's got some genuinely unsettling moments that stick with you, and it's dark and emotional and doesn't waste your time. IMDb rates it 6.4 out of 10, and it's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with an 81% critics score. Horror fans appreciate its originality, though it's definitely more of a niche movie. If you liked Hereditary or The House of the Devil, this has a similar dark and unsettling tone, but the metal music gives it a vibe all its own. It's bleak, intense and unsettling. It's not the kind of horror that lets you breathe. It keeps you on edge the whole time. So, is it worth a watch? Absolutely. It's short, sweet and heavy, like a perfect horror riff. If you're into psychological horror with a side of creepy vibes, you'll dig this one. And the scare factor, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's not full of jump scares, but the atmosphere and the sense of dread make it genuinely creepy. Plus, that dude with his weird obsession, yeah, he's nightmare fuel.
Just the gas?
We're not dead. We're not dead.
You need to sacrifice something for the Lord, Mia.
Alright, let's dive into The Lodge 2019. Picture this. Two kids and their soon-to-be stepmom, Grace, are stuck in a remote, snowed-in cabin. Sounds like a bonding opportunity, right? Nope. It turns out Grace has a pretty dark past. Think cults and trauma, these kind of things. And weird stuff starts happening. Food disappears, personal items vanish, and it feels like reality itself is crumbling. Is Grace losing her grip? Are the kids playing a cruel prank? Or is there something more sinister going on? It's the kind of movie that messes with your head the whole way through. The Lodge isn't for everyone, but if you like slow burn psychological horror, this is a solid pick. In my opinion, it's chilling, both literally and figuratively, and keeps you guessing all the time. I won't lie though, it can feel pretty bleak sometimes, so maybe don't watch it if you're already having a rough day. IMDb gives it a 6 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes is at 74% for critics. Audiences are a bit more divided. It's one of those love it or hate it films, but some people call it a masterpiece, others think it's just plain depressing. That's it. If you're not into slow films, this one might test your patience and might be boring for you. If you liked movies like Hereditary or The Babadook, this has a similar unsettling psychological vibe. It's not as overtly terrifying, but it's just as haunting. So, is it worth a watch? If you're into psychological horror that leaves you questioning everything, give it a watch. Just be ready for a slow build and a pretty green tone. So, I think for some people, it would be boring. The scare factor for this would be a 5 out of 10. This one's more about atmosphere and psychological tension than outright scares. It's not jumping, it's deeply unsettling, especially as the story unravels.
Trust me. You have nothing to be scared about.
It's our house. But backwards. What the hell was he doing?
Okay, The Lighthouse is one of those movies that sneaks up on you. It's about Beth, a woman grieving the unexpected suicide of her husband, Owen. She's living alone in this beautiful lakeside house he built for her. Sounds peaceful, right? Wrong. She starts hearing noises, seeing ghostly figures, and uncovering some seriously dark secrets about Owen's past. Let's just say, what she finds isn't the love letter she was hoping for. It's got twists, turns, and plenty of moments where you'll question what's real and what's not. In my personal opinion, this movie hits hard, emotionally and psychologically both. It's not your typical ghost story. It's more like a deep dive into grief, guilt, and then the mysteries we keep even from the ones we love. Plus, the ending, chef's kiss, but also, what the heck. IMDb score was a solid 6.5 out of 10, while Rotten Tomatoes gives it an impressive 87% critics rating. Horror fans and critics alike praise its originality and Rebecca Hall's performance. So, if you liked movies, as I said like before, Hereditary or The Invisible Man 2020, this has a similar mix of psychological horror and emotional depth, but it's quieter, more introspective. So, is it worth watching? For myself, absolutely. It's a unique take on the haunted house genre and offers more than just the scares. It makes you think and feel. Just be ready for some heavy themes. And about the scare factor, I would give it a 6 out of 10. The scares here are kind of more subtle, think eerie vibes and creepy imagery rather than jump scares. But the psychological horror and emotional weight take it to another level.
Safe for what?
Your toothbrush? Check. Do you have your deodorant? Check. Do you have your cozy clothes?
Get Out. I have done this in another video, I remember. This one is a whole other level of horror. You've got Chris, a black man who's about to visit his white girlfriend's family for the first time. Sounds like a nightmare already, right? But things quickly take a turn for the weird when he notices strange behavior from the family and their friends. From there, the film goes from awkward family gathering to something is seriously wrong real quick.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
The deeper he digs into the family's history, the more he uncovers, and trust me, it's a ride you're not prepared for. So my personal opinion on this is that, honestly, Get Out is a game changer. It's horror that makes social commentary with pure tension. It's not just about creepy white people, it's about the fear of being othered and the ways racism can manifest in subtle, terrifying ways. The film is brilliantly executed, and Jordan Peele's direction is just next level. This movie made me think about the world differently. It's one of those that stays with you long after it's over. The IMDb has it sitting pretty at 7.7 out of 10, while Rotten Tomatoes critics are at 98% out of 100, and audiences are at 86% in Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone's raving about it. Critics are praising the unique blend of horror and social commentary, while audiences are just plain disturbed by how realistic the fear feels. This movie takes the best parts of the step-forward vibes and the Twilight Zone, makes them its own. It's socially conscious horror with a twist that's as smart as it is terrifying. So, is it worth watching? If you haven't seen Get Out yet, you're missing out. It's a horror movie with a purpose, and it's one that'll have you thinking long after you've watched it. Plus, it's just a really well-crafted, thrilling film. In terms of scare factor, I would give it a 4 out of 10. It's not exactly the scariest movie out there, but it's definitely a slow burn. Get Out relies more on psychological tension and the building of unease rather than outright scares. Sure, it adds its creepy moments, but it doesn't hit you with jump scares or intense horror sequences like other films might. It's more about discomfort and dread. If you're looking for heart-pounding horror, you might be a bit disappointed. But if you're into something that gets under your skin in a subtle, unsettling way, this will leave a mark.
Just get the keys.
I don't know where they are.
Rose?
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Alright, so here's the deal with the Canal. It's about this guy, David, who works as a film archivist. His life is already a mess because he suspects his wife is cheating on him. Yeah, rough. Then he stumbles on some old footage that shows a murder happened in his house years ago. And because things aren't bad enough, he starts seeing creepy visions and experiencing all kinds of weird stuff. So now you're left wondering, is his house haunted or is David just losing it? Oh, and yes, there's an actual canal, and it's as creepy as it sounds. I gotta say, this one surprised me. It's not a blockbuster horror movie, but it's got this eerie vibe that really gets onto your skin.
We found a hammer in the canal with your fingerprints.
I think there's something in my house. I have proof I've captured a man's on film.
It's one of those movies that keeps you guessing the whole time and then smacks you in the face with a wild ending. IMDb gives it a 5.9 out of 10, which honestly feels a little unfair. This movie is one of those underrated gems that horror fans appreciate more than casual viewers. Critics are a bit mixed, though some love the tension and psychological depth, while others think it drags. But hey, I'd say it's worth your time. If you're into movies like the Babadook, again, or Sinister, this is your vibe. It's got that same mix of psychological horror and supernatural creepiness, with just a touch of what did I just watch? So, would it be worth a watch? For sure. If you like horror movies that make you think and keep you guessing, this one's a solid pick. Just don't expect an action-packed rail ride. This is more of a slow, creepy unraveling. And the scare factor, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's not full of kind of jump scares, but it masks for intention, make it really creepy. Plus, some of the imagery will definitely stay with you. It's more about the psychological chills than outright terror. The Devil's Backbone, 2001. Picture this. It's the last days of the Spanish Civil War, and a young boy named Carlos ends up at a creepy remote orphanage. But it's not just the eerie hallways or the old school vibes making things weird. There's a ghost with a serious grudge. As Carlos starts digging into the orphanage's dark secrets, he discovers that the real monsters might not be the supernatural ones. It's chilling, it's tragic, and it's layered with so much tension you could cut it with a knife. IMDb gives it a 7.4 out of 10, and honestly, that feels right. Critics rave about its mix of horror and historical drama, and fans call it one of Del Toro's best works. It's not just a horror movie, it's a piece of art. So what makes this movie stand out? 2 words: Guillermo del Toro. If you liked Pan's Labyrinth or The Orphanage, this is a must-watch. It's got that same blend of supernatural and emotional depth that makes Del Toro's work so special. So, is it worth watching? 100%. This isn't just a horror movie. It's a cinematic experience. Even if you're not a huge fan of ghosts, the story and visuals are more than enough to keep you hooked. And the scare factor, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's not the kind of movie that'll have you jumping out of your seat, but the atmosphere and tension are off the charts. Plus, the ghost is so unsettling. They'll definitely give you chills.
What happened to you?
First, they bound her. Then they ripped out her tongue, poisoned her, paralyzed her, forced her to swallow the cloth. What is that?
Alright, let's dive into this one. The Autopsy of Jane Doe, 2016. A father-son Doe of coroners gets this unmarked corpse, Jane Doe. At first glance, she looks normal, right? But as they start the autopsy, they realize nothing about her adds up. We're talking freaky stuff. Internal organs burned, broken bones, that don't measure perfect on a scarred skin. It's like the body's got its own set of horror movie rules. And while they're trying to figure her out, the morgue itself starts going full-on haunted house. Let's just say, by the end, you'll never look at a quiet corpse the same way again. Just a morgue, a corpse, and two people losing their minds. IMDb gives it a 6.8 out of 10, and honestly, I'd say it deserves a bit more love. Critics, they're kind of split, but most horror fans agree it's a hidden gem. It's original, creepy, and just the right amount of gross without overdoing it. If you liked Hereditary or The Witch, you'll love this one. It's got that same slow burn vibe with a payoff that'll leave you shocked. So, is it worth a watch? Absolutely. If you're into horror movies that combine mystery, atmosphere, and a whole lot of what the hell is going on here, this one's a no-brainer. Just maybe don't watch it alone in the dark or in a morgue, especially not in a morgue. The scare factor is 7.5 out of 10 in my opinion. It's not scream your head off scary, but the atmosphere and suspense will have you squirming. And the sound design, chilling. Oh, and the final reveal, yeah, good luck sleeping after that.
That's what I mean! That's the trouble with you.
The Lighthouse 2019, a psychological lighthouse and a whole lot of madness to watch, but in the best way possible. So, is it worth watching 100%? If you are me, Under the Shadow 2016. Alright, let's set the stage. Tehran, 1980s. During the Iran-Iraq War, Shudder, a young mother, is trying to keep it together in a city constantly under threat of missile attacks. As if dodging bombs isn't stressful enough, weird things start happening in her apartment. Her daughter, Dorsa, insists there's something, or someone, lacking their home. And before you know it, you're dealing with a mix of real-world terror and a creepy supernatural entity called a gene. Is it paranoia from the war, or is it something darker at play? My personal opinion on this is that this movie doesn't just scare you, it pulls you into its world. You feel Shudder's fear, her frustration, and the suffocating anxiety of being trapped, both by the war and whatever's haunting them. IMDb gives it a 6.9 out of 10, but critics, they're in love with this one. It's a fresh take on horror that blends cultural context with universal fears. Rotten Tomatoes, a whopping 99 out of 100. And fans, they can't stop raving about how unique and intense it is. In terms of psychology, it would be something like Hereditary. You would probably love them. I mean, it's more about psychological and emotional horror than cheap jump scares, and the cultural angle makes it feel fresh and original. So, is it worth a watch? Absolutely. It's a smart, chilling, and incredibly well made. Plus, if you're tired of the same old horror tropes, this one is a breath of fresh air. Or, you know, a chilling gust of haunted air. So, what would be the scare factor for this? For myself, it was an 8 out of 10. This one's creepy, not gory. It gets under your skin with atmospheric tension and the feeling that something is always watching. Oh, and those moments with a gene, nightmare fuel, for sure.
准给我拿点安眠。
Goodnight, Mommy, 2014. A psychological horror thriller. Okay, here's the setup. Two twin brothers, Elias and Lucas, are living in this remote, super modern house with their mom. Except something's not right. She's just had surgery. Her face is covered in bandages, and she's acting, well, let's just say not very motherly. The twins start to suspect that maybe, just maybe, the woman under those bandages isn't actually their mom. What follows is a twisted game of who's the real monster here. They'll mess with your head big time. My personal opinion on this is that it is unsettling in the best way possible. It's slow, creepy, and makes you question everything. Plus, it's got the European horror vibe. Minimal dialogue, gorgeous cinematography, and tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. IMDb rates it a solid 6.7 out of 10, but critics, they've been raving about it for years. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 85%, and people can't get enough of its unique, artsy style. Some find it slow, but if you're into psychological horror, you'll probably love it. If you're into slow psychological horror, like The Hereditary, this is your jam. It's more about tension and unease than gore or supernatural stuff, but it's just as effective. So, is it worth watching? Absolutely. But fair warning, it's not for everyone. If you like horror, and slow horrors, typically artsy and full of psychological twists, you're gonna love this. If you're here for non-stop scares, maybe pick something else. And about the scare factor, it would go, I think, a 5 out of 10. This one's more creepy than scary. It gets on your skin with its unsettling vibe and slow build-up, but it's not kind of movie that'll make you scream or jump out of your seat. The psychological horror hits hard though, especially when everything comes together. The Innocent, 2021. Okay, picture this. A group of kids hanging out during their summer break in a quiet Norwegian apartment complex. Pretty normal, right? Well, not for so long. These kids start discovering that they've got abilities, like telekinesis and mind control. But instead of using them for, I don't know, saving cats from trees, things take a much darker turn. What starts as innocent childhood curiosity spirals into something very more sinister, with horrifying consequences. Yeah, kids can be terrifying too. The way it captures childhood innocence clashing with this eerie, supernatural edge is just brilliant. You'll be hooked, but also a little scared to ever trust kids again. Just saying. IMDb gives it a 7 out of 10, and Rotten Tomato gives it a kind of 96 out of 100. So, audiences seem a little divided though. Some think it's brilliant, while others feel it's too slow. But for those who appreciate a slow burn thriller, this one's a winner. If you're into movies like Let the Right One In or The Babadook, this is right up your alley. It's got that same mix of emotional depth and supernatural creepiness, where they focus on the characters that makes everything feel disturbingly real. Is it worth watching? Yeah, definitely, especially if you like your horror and the thought-provoking side. It's not about jump scares or gore, it's about exploring morality, innocence, and what happens when those lines get blurred. If that sounds like your thing, this movie will stick with you long after the credits roll. In terms of scare factor, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's not the scariest movie ever, but it's definitely unsettling. The combination of supernatural elements and the darker side of human nature makes for a creepy, unforgettable experience. More hauntingly beautiful than outright terrifying.
Slutt, mamma! Vi lekte bare litt.
His House 2020, a psychological horror drama. Alright, let me set the stage for you. His House starts with a couple, Ball and Rial, who've escaped war-torn South Sudan and are trying to start fresh in a small English town. They're given this rundown house by the government, a new start, right? Wrong. Almost immediately, weird things start happening. I'm talking shadows, whispers, and things that make you question if you'd rather face a war zone than whatever's lacking in this house. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the house, it's about the trauma they brought with them. It's not just scary, it's smart. You're creeped out 1 second and then hit with this wave of emotion the next. It's like it sneaks into your brain, messes with your emotions, and then leaves you staring at the screen like, what just happened? So, in terms of the scores, I mean, people love this one. IMDb's got it at 6.5 out of 10, which is criminally low if you ask me. Rotten Tomatoes critics, I think, they went all in with a juicy 100%, and audiences gave it a solid 74. The divide is probably because this isn't your classic ghost story, it's a thinker. If you like the Babadook, or even the Witch, I think, you'll love this. It's got the same mix of psychological depth and supernatural spookiness, but it also stands on its own as something truly unique. So is it worth watching? Absolutely. Whether you're into ghosts, psychological horror, or just a really powerful story, this one's got you covered. It's not just a movie, it's an experience, and trust me, you'll be thinking about it long after the credits roll. And in terms of scare factor, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's creepy, no doubt, but it's emotional weight that really gets you. That is it. The scares are there, but they are not just about making you jump, they're about making you feel something. And that's what makes it stand out.
My house! This is my house! My house!
You don't wonder what it tells me. It says I should be afraid of you.
A Tale of Two Sisters, 2003, a South Korean masterpiece. So imagine this. Two sisters return home from a mental institution, only to find their stepmother's gone, full evil stepmom mode. The house, creepy as heck. And just when you think it's a family drama, strange supernatural events start piling up. But wait, it's not just ghosts haunting this place. Secrets are hiding in every corner, and when the truth comes out, your jaw will hit the floor. My personal opinion on this: I think this movie isn't just scary, it's emotionally devastating in the best way. It's like it wants to terrify you and break your heart at the same time. I've never felt so haunted by a plot twist in my life. IMDb is sitting at an 7.1 out of 10, while Rotten Tomatoes has critics at 85% and audiences at 81. People can't stop talking about the mix of psychological depth and terrifying moments. If The Sixth Sense and Hereditary had a K-horror sibling, this would be it. I mean, the Korean type. It's chilling, emotional, and incredibly smart. And is it worth watching? If you love horror that's as beautiful as it is terrifying, this is a must-watch. Just be prepared to feel a little emotionally drained afterwards. And about the scare factor, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's not just jump scares, it's the emotional and psychological weight that gets under your skin, and it's haunting in every sense of the word.
그 여자도 이상하고 이 집도 이상해.
The Orphanage, 2007, a Spanish masterpiece. So picture this: a woman buys the orphanage where she grew up, planning to turn it into a home for disabled children. Sweet, right? Except her son starts talking to an imaginary friend and then disappears. As she searches for him, she uncovers chilling secrets about the orphanage's past, all while dealing with some seriously creepy supernatural stuff. And the ending, let's just say, it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. IMDb gives it a strong 7.4 out of 10, while Rotten Tomatoes has critics at 87% and audiences at 84%. Critics love its blend of scares and emotional depth, and audiences can't stop raving about this story. If you loved The Others or Hereditary, this is right up your alley. It's haunting, emotional, and unforgettable. So, is it worth a watch? This is a must-watch for anyone who loves horror with heart. It's not just about the scares, it's about the story and the emotions it stirs up. Just have some tissues handy. And also about the scare factor. I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's not the scariest movie out there, but the emotional weight and eerie atmosphere make up for it. It's haunting in every sense of the word.
The Orphanage.
The Babadook 2014, a psychological horror. Alright, imagine this. A mother, struggling with grief and the trauma of her husband's death, is trying to raise a troubled son who's got his own set of issues. Then one night, he finds a creepy children's book called Mr. Babadook. And from there, well, things get real creepy. This isn't just about some scary monster in the dark. This film takes you deep into the mind of a mother who's struggling with her own demons, literally and figuratively.
Where'd you get this? On the shelf.
If it's in all, you can't get rid of the Babadook. A rumbling sound, then 3 sharp knocks.
Babadook, duk, duk.
The Babadook, a figure from the book, starts to haunt their lives, and trust me, it gets under your skin in ways you won't expect. In my opinion, The Babadook is one of those films that's not just scary. It's deeply unsettling. It's psychological horror at its finest. IMDb rates it 6.8 out of 10, but don't let that fool you. Critics love this movie. It's got a solid 98% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, with the audience sitting at 85%. People are praising the psychological depth, with many calling it one of the best horror films of the 2010s. If Hereditary and The Witch had a creepy love child, it would be The Babadook. It's got that same psychological horror vibe, but with a heavy emphasis on grief and family trauma. So, is it worth a watch? Absolutely. The Babadook isn't your average horror movie. It's a psychological thriller that explores deep, real emotions. It'll stay with you, and if you're into horror that's a bit more cerebral, then this is definitely one to check out. I would give it a 7 out of 10. The horror here isn't in the jump scares, but in the creeping dread and the mental anguish of the characters. It'll mess with your mind, which makes it even scarier in the long run. The Medium 2021, a supernatural horror. Alright, buckle up, because this one's alright. The Medium takes you to a small village in Thailand, where a shaman named Nim believes she's been chosen by a goddess to carry out her divine duties. But things take a dark turn when her niece Mink starts acting, well, let's just say she's not herself. What starts as a family drama, steeped in local traditions, spirals into full-blown chaos, with possessions, rituals, and some genuinely bone-chilling moments. And it's all shot documentary style, so it feels unsettlingly real. The IMDb score is sitting at 6.5 out of 10, which feels low for how intense this movie is. And Rotten Tomatoes, critics are into it, giving it 74% fresh, but audiences seem split, probably because it's a slow burn before the chaos really kicks off. Still, it's worth it for the payoff. So, if you like The Wailing or Noroi the Curse, this one's for you. It has that same blend of folklore, family drama, and unrelenting terror, but it also stands out for its unique cultural perspective. So is it worth a watch? Definitely. especially if you're into folklore-based horror, or want something different from the usual jump scare fare. This one gets under your skin and stays with you long after it's over. Just be warned, it's not for the faint of heart. And the scare factor, I would give it an 8 out of 10. This one delivers some serious scares. It's not just about the possessions or the rituals. It's the atmosphere, the tension, and the sense of realism that makes it so unsettling. You'll definitely want to sleep with the lights on after this.
Oh, no! No! What?
Alright, and first on our list, The Smile 2, 2025, psychological horror. Imagine this, just when you thought the cursed smiling entity from Smile 1 was done terrorizing people, it's back, and somehow it's even creepier. This time the story picks up with a new protagonist who stumbles across the curse in the most horrifying way. The rules? Same as before. Once you're marked, you're stuck in this nightmare loop of creepy smiles, hallucinations, and unraveling secrets about the curse's origins. And trust me, the movie doesn't waste time getting into the weird, messed up mind games.
You witnessed a death. Now it's latched onto you.
911, what's your emergency?
It's like it's playing a psychological game of cat and mouse with you. And those creepy smiles, yeah, still nightmare material. IMDb giving it 7.2 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes critics are at 83%, with audiences at 76%. So, if The Ring and It Follows had a terrifying baby, it would be Smile 2. It's got that same relentless cursed vibe, but with its own unique twists. So, is it worth watching? 100%. This is one of those rare movies that truly messed with my head. And my wife's too. We barely slept after watching it. And let me tell you, that wasn't a fun night. It's not just the scares during the movie. It's the way it sticks with you after the credits roll, keeping you staring at a wall, leaving you with this uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach. If that's not effective horror, I don't know what it is. And also, with the scare factor, I would give it a straight 9 out of 10. It's not just jump scares, it's the creeping dread, the psychological mind games, and that lingering bad vibe that hits you right when you think you're safe. This one ends its high score. It'll haunt you in the best or worst way possible. Alright folks, that's a wrap on my list of horror mystery movies that kept my wife and I awake for 3 straight nights, and maybe messed me up a little too. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, do me a small favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a tiny click for you, but for me, it's the boost I need to keep bringing you more creepy, spooky, and downright terrifying recommendations. Now, here's the real question. Which of these movies scared you the most? Or do you have a favorite horror mystery movie that wasn't on the list? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and who knows, maybe your suggestion will make it into a future video. And if you're craving more horror goodness, check out my other videos, which are top 20 best horror movies of all time up to 2025, movies that are actually scary, and top 31 scary horror movies you've never seen after 2025. These are multicultural picks. So trust me, they'll give you plenty to add to your watch list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, if you dare.